The world's richest man has now staked his fortune on choosing the world's most powerful man. But what we don't know, and perhaps what's the scariest part of all this, is we don't know what Elon Musk really wants. And whether you love Donald Trump, you hate Donald Trump, you love Elon Musk, you hate Elon Musk, you've switched your view on Elon Musk, that concept should concern all of us. Over the weekend, Elon Musk did what Elon Musk often does and took things a bit too far. He went from sinking tens of millions of dollars into helping Donald Trump, fine, a lot of billionaires help politicians, to a raffle system that gives away $1 million to swing state voters. You have to be registered to vote and sign his pledge to support free speech plus the right to bear arms. Okay, support the First and Second Amendment. That doesn't really seem all that out there. But the $1 million raffle has some issues. We have to be fair about it. The Trump-Musk relationship terrifies and angers the left. We told you on Friday about the war on Elon Musk now that he's supporting Donald Trump. Elon Musk now must be destroyed. And the war on Elon Musk that we told you about on Friday, as we predicted, has, shall we say, gotten larger, or certainly gotten more forceful and urgent. Here's Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro.
I think there are real questions with how he is spending money in this race, how the dark money is flowing, not just into Pennsylvania, but apparently now into the pockets of Pennsylvanians. That is deeply concerning. I think it's something that law enforcement could take a look at. I'm not the Attorney General anymore of Pennsylvania. I'm the governor, but it does raise some serious questions.
So there's an irony here, right? 2 weeks before the election, somehow they're now talking about prosecuting their political enemies. Democrats say if Trump gets in, Trump will prosecute his political enemies, and that is terrible and that must be stopped, which, by the way, is true. Prosecuting your political enemies is wrong. And what you just heard is Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, saying law enforcement now needs to look into things because Democrats don't like it. It's just fine if they do it. But there's something bigger here than that irony. As Musk goes all in on Trump, who is using who or whom? Grammar is not my thing. Bill O'Reilly will correct me. Just wait for it. But the Elon Musk and Donald Trump relationship is one that should concern us all. Bill O'Reilly is back with us, host of the No Spin News on BillO'Reilly.com, to tell me whether I should have used who or whom. Which is it?
Whom?
My fifth grade grammar teacher would be so disappointed. Okay. Author of Confronting the President's No Spin Assessments from Washington to Biden. Go back in history for us, Bill. Is there a president who, if elected, will ever be so beholden to one man? And I don't understand how Republicans think that's okay.
Because Zuckerberg did the same thing in 2020.
It wasn't right then. It was Republicans screamed bloody murder about it.
I absolutely agree 100%. But I'd like to know where the $300 million that Zuckerberg pumped into just a few counties in swing states, where that money went. Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's never been defined, never been investigated. Nobody anything about it. Josh Shapiro didn't care about it. I cared from the very beginning. I go, where's that money going? Who's getting that? $300 million. Whoa. It makes Musk look like, a parsimonious pauper, to use alliteration. So here's how I read this. Take some notes, Leland. I try not to use big words to confuse you. Number one, the Musk-Trump relationship is a business deal, because all relationships of those two men, I shouldn't say all, but most of them, are the art of the deal. That's what they do. They make deals. And the deal is that Musk, who loathes the left for trying to censor social media and himself, he hates them, would support Trump. And in return, there's nothing really defined, but I can tell you what Musk needs. He needs EV charging stations. He makes a bloody fortune from those. And in many places, governments have to cooperate for him to put the EV stations in. That would be the likely quid pro quo, Latin for this, for that. But I don't know that to be true.
Yeah. Quid pro
I do
quo
know
is
that's the likely scenario.
Yeah, well, okay, so first of all, you're assuming Musk is altruistic about this whole free speech thing. Could be that he wants protection for his social media company as well. Maybe there's something deeper, though, Bill. This is that he wants government contracts for Starlink, which is huge. We reported on Friday that the Biden administration pulled government contracts.
That's just speculation.
Okay, well, except for the fact that he was given the contract in public.
Let's just say that Trump will look favorably on whatever project
fair enough.
Musk has. Okay. But Shapiro made a mistake when he said dark money. This isn't dark money. No. This is light of day. So Shapiro is painting a heinous thing on this because he's a partisan Democrat. I understand that. What Musk did was very clever. He didn't break any laws as far as my legal experts can tell because he's holding a raffle, an incentive to sign his petition. And that's legal. There are no strings attached to the raffle. You put your name in the hat, somebody pulls it out, you get $1 million. The guy who won in Pennsylvania last week didn't even know there was a raffle. And all of a sudden he's going, what? I got $1 million? So what Trump's doing is what Musk is doing, I should say. It's what he does a lot. He's a provocateur. So is Trump. Right. That's why they get along. So they like to provoke. And they get an enormous amount of attention. Enormous amount of attention by doing it.
Right, and there's some intersections here. In appreciation for your support, you will receive $47 for each registered voter you refer that signs the petition. And in order to win the raffle, you have to be a registered voter. There's some discussion about whether or not that gets into this murky area or not. Fine. I think suffice it to say, though, that if Alex Soros or Oprah was down in Georgia with a petition about DEI or a petition about abolishing the police and was giving away $1 million a day until Election Day to people who signed their petition, I don't think you'd be as laissez-faire about it, would you?
I would. Soros has got hundreds of millions of dollars wrapped up in this election. I'm trying to ferret it out, but he's the dark money prince, Soros. Okay. Musk just, he's provoking, getting attention. He and Trump have a good relationship. If Trump wins, Musk will be rewarded, I'm sure. I wouldn't go about it this way. I like a more pure political system, but I don't think that's ever going to happen again in this country.
You're not going to go back
because the Supreme Court's ruling. You can't. You can't go back.
You're not going to go back. So we did this arc between how Musk went from the hero of the left with his EVs and space flight and solar and Starlink, now to public enemy number one, the supervillain. Here is Gavin Newsom. Take a listen.
Look, I've known Elon for over 20, 25 years, one of America's great entrepreneurs and innovators. But this is not the person I knew even 2 years ago. And I, with respect to Elon, I just don't have the confidence that there's other things that he's not up to behind the scenes.
I mean, it's innovative and it's desperate. You only do that because you think you have to.
It seems like there's something else going on here. You think Elon Musk just all of a sudden had an epiphany that the left was doing things that he didn't know about for the past 15 years and suddenly realized, oh, gee, free speech is important?
No, and he took over X. He saw what the left was doing. Come on, you know that. He saw all of it. He saw the manipulation, the censorship. He saw the dominance of Silicon Valley, and the fix was in to get left-wing opinion out and suppress right-wing opinion. He knows what happened better than any human being. Maybe he did something, I don't know, and I'm not going to convict him. We're living in an age, and I know you got to break it, but I think you'll find this interesting, because both Vittert and I have been journalists for a while. I've been much longer.
A little longer for you.
I worked for CBS Yeah, I work for CBS News. I work local Channel 2 in New York, and then I work national under Rather. What CBS is doing now, and it doesn't tie directly into Musk, but it is disturbing at the same level. All right, 60 Minutes is not putting out the transcript of the Kamala Harris interview so that the folks, the people who watch CBS in 60 Minutes, can see if there's any chicanery, word of the day, involved. And I'm saying to myself, what the paramount duty of any reporter, any journalist, any network news is to have the people consuming that news product feel confident about it. And to not release a transcript when you are under now lawsuits, Trump is threatening you, everybody's coming after you for allegedly helping Kamala Harris in an interview by editing it falsely. To not put that to bed immediately is shocking to me. I don't think I've ever been shocked more by a journalist's story, even the voting machine thing, which was stunning. But this one, it's so easy. Just put out the transcript.
All right, we were kicking this around in the newsroom for about an hour today. I'm glad you brought it up, and this is my theory. You can tell me what you think, and then we'll hit a break. Is CBS is either A, doesn't want to set that standard, right? That we can be bullied into releasing things because you and I have emails. You and I have emails back and forth. Hold on, we don't release. We don't release all of our interviews. You don't release all of your interviews. You don't release the research you did for your book. If there's some controversy about that, hold on. But I have a different theory. That there's something in there, because this isn't about the transcript, it's about the tape. That there's some moment in there that they edited out, and if people see the transcript, then they're going to want the tape of that moment.
Well, you may be right. You're speculating, and there doesn't seem to be any other logical way to have CBS refuse to release a transcript, okay? Because even if they did gin it up in her favor, all they would have to do would be, we apologize, we're firing the people who did it, and go on. And there is precedent. CBS has, as you know, Catherine Herridge, one of their former correspondents, put out a number of transcripts about her investigations. CBS didn't object to that. All right, so there's precedence. So I'm sitting back here going, this could be an enormous story, because if it is proven that CBS 60 Minutes did doctor the editing, then Harris will lose. She'll lose the election. That's how big that story will be. And that's the only reason I could think of that CBS wouldn't release it. And well, here's
look, it wouldn't be the first time they tried to throw they tried to throw the election in 2004 with Rather's thing about George W. Bush. Right?
Yeah, I know, but Rather got held accountable. They didn't cover it up. He got investigated.
Okay.
But the kicker on this story is that CBS is being sold to a new company when the deal is going to be commenced, I think, in the spring. All of the CBS people involved with this, every one of them in the boardroom, are going to be fired. They may be fired before, because Sherry Redstone, who controls CBS, is appalled by what's going on over there, has publicly said so. So what do they think they're doing? Who's going to benefit? Just put it out there.
All right.
If you did, admit it. Right?
We'll see if they do.
Okay.
Right. Bill, as always, good to see you. A couple weeks till election. There's a tape of your predictions about the election. We have it. We're going to play it next week. How's that for a tease?
It's an opinion, not a prediction.
No. I know that I got your prediction from back. I got your prediction from Christmas. You don't remember. I have the tape. We'll play it next week. I got to run.
All right. If you got something else, that's fine.
There you go.
I gave my opinion that Trump would win.
I know.
But I'm giving my prediction on Halloween. On BillO'Reilly.com.
Okay, because there's not enough on Halloween to scare us all with your prediction. All right. Top secret U.S. intelligence.
That's why I chose that day.
Yeah, no, shocking. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.